The night sky over Washington, D.C. was ripped apart by tragedy on January 29, 2025. At approximately 8:58 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a routine flight approaching its destination turned into a scene of unimaginable horror. An American Airlines CRJ 700 Flight 5342 from Wichita, Kansas, collided with a U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter. The impact occurred just 3 miles south of the White House and the Capitol building, casting a pall over the heart of the nation. The American Airlines jet, a common sight in the skies, carried 60 passengers and 4 crew members. They were on the final leg of their journey, unaware that their lives were about to be cut tragically short. The Black Hawk helicopter, a symbol of military might, had 3 soldiers on board, performing their duties in the airspace above their nation's capital. The collision occurred with a sickening crunch of metal against metal, the sound of which was lost in the roar of engines and the sudden terrifying plunge towards the earth. Eyewitnesses on the ground reported seeing a bright flash in the sky, followed by a plume of smoke and the horrifying descent of the aircraft. The devastating crash claimed the lives of all 67 people on board both aircraft. Among the passengers on the American Airlines flight were a group of young figure skaters from Wichita. Their dreams dashed along with their futures. Their parents and coaches were also on board. Their joy at accompanying these talented athletes turned to unimaginable grief. 4 union steamfitters from the Washington area, returning home after a job, also perished in the crash. The loss of life sent shockwaves through the nation, and particularly through Wichita, Kansas, where many of the passengers called home. The community struggled to comprehend the magnitude of the loss, brought together in grief and support for the families left behind. Immediately following the crash, the National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB, launched a full-scale investigation. This independent agency is tasked with determining the probable cause of the accident and making recommendations to prevent similar tragedies in the future. As investigators began the painstaking process of piecing together the events leading to the crash, the complexities of the airspace around Reagan National Airport came into sharp focus. This bustling airport, situated in the heart of a densely populated area, requires pilots to navigate a challenging airspace with numerous restricted zones and a constant flow of air traffic. One area of particular interest to investigators is the air traffic control procedures in place on the night of the accident. Initial reports indicate that a single air traffic controller was responsible for handling both helicopter traffic and arriving and departing planes, a workload typically shared by 2 controllers. While staffing levels were reportedly normal, the decision to combine these roles earlier than usual that evening has raised questions about potential contributing factors. Another potential factor under scrutiny is the altitude of the Black Hawk helicopter at the time of the collision. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth stated that the helicopter's maximum permitted altitude was 200 feet, raising questions about whether it was operating within its designated airspace. The tragic collision near Reagan National Airport has left a nation in mourning and searching for answers. The outpouring of grief and support for the victims and their families has been met with calls for a thorough investigation and a commitment to preventing such tragedies in the future. President Donald Trump expressed condolences for the victims, but also sparked controversy by making unsubstantiated claims blaming the Biden administration, diversity initiatives at the FAA, and air traffic controllers for the crash. His comments drew sharp criticism from those who felt he was politicizing a national tragedy. Reagan National Airport was closed for several hours following the crash, disrupting travel plans for thousands but paling in comparison to the immeasurable loss suffered by the families of the victims. The airport reopened around midday on Thursday, but the investigation into the cause of the crash and the search for answers continues. The skies above Washington, D.C. and the nation as a whole bear the weight of this tragedy, a somber reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of ensuring the safety of our skies.